I was up mega early to watch this, so if I start rambling, please forgive my sleep-deprived brain. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about AEW x New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door 2024, the big old crossover super show that we get once a year now, and it's always a good time to look forward to because you know you're going to get some tasty matchups, and we did this time around. Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland, Naito versus John Moxley, Takagi versus Bryan Danielson. There was a lot on this show. It was a big old stacked card, and we'll dive into it in just a moment, whether it hit or it didn't. Before we do, please hit subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below. I'll try and reply to every single one of them as we dive into this Forbidden Door 2024. Overall thoughts. I usually start out with my overall thoughts. I think Forbidden Door, for me personally, is my least favourite show of AEW's of 2024. That being said, I still think it was really good. Like, really good. There were some exceptional matches in here and a match of the year contender, two match of the year contenders in my opinion. But I think overall the structure of the show and sort of some matches, one match in particular, I really didn't vibe with, and then there's another match that was quite later on in the card that I also really didn't vibe with, and they sort of killed the enjoyment for me. But I'm not going to let that take away from the fact that there was an incredible main event, an incredible TBS championship match, an incredible Owen Hart tournament match. There was a lot on this show to really enjoy, and I think overall I'd say it's recommendable. It's a recommendable 4 hours of wrestling, which obviously some people like, some people don't. But if you're up for it, I think it was a really solid night of action. Not my favourite AEW pay-per-view of the year by far, but I think really solid. And I'm going to dive into every match, every angle, everything that happened right now, starting with the opening video package that I thought was really cool, really nice. It was really slick the way it was done, which led into the opening match, which was Hechicero taking on Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, in an interesting clash of styles. This was almost a house showy match in the way it was presented, with very overt, like, cheating and shenanigans. It was really playing to MJF's older character, where he would do the strut, he'd do the eye rake and get that reaction from the fans. I think it worked really well. Hechicero had a good showing. He hit some insanely cool moves. He hit almost a reverse monkey flip into a choke, which was insanely cool to watch. And eventually, MJF picked up the win with a delayed brainbuster, which seems to be his new finisher. He did it on Adam Cole when he came back. I think this was a fun way to open the show. I don't think it was a mind-blowing match that maybe we were expecting. I also don't think it was as good as his match with Roosh that we got on Dynamite. But overall, I think it was a solid way to open the show. And MJF being the opening match, I think it's going to play into his story going forward with Ospreay. So I think it's interesting from a story perspective. But overall, I thought the match was really good, not amazing. Then we got trios action as the Scissor Aces, Tanahashi and the Acclaimed, took on the Elite, Kazuchika Okada and the Young Bucks. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was funny, mainly for Okada. I think Okada in this role is an absolute revelation / godsend / whatever you'd like to call it. His deadpan expression kills me every time, and when he was mocking the Acclaimed, I was dying, absolutely creasing. I thought they had some good spots in here. I'm not necessarily into the Acclaimed. I think actually the Acclaimed's rap was a little bit of a letdown. It was a little bit weak, but looking at my notes for a second, I think there was some cool spots, but I think they all mainly revolved around Okada. I think the main issue with this match is that I was more into Okada and Tanahashi, which is an older feud that's not going on right now, than I am the current feud, which is the Young Bucks and the Acclaimed versus like the Elite and stuff like that. But you got some really cool near falls. You got Acclaimed getting a great near fall from a I can't remember what their finish is. It's not Sesame Timbers. That's the one where they dive on the legs. But the Acclaimed's finisher, where they hit the sort of, it's like a slam into an elbow drop from Matt Caster for a good near fall on Okada. Then you got the Young Bucks pumping up their Reeboks, which I always pop for. I think that's fun. And hitting some super kicks from out of nowhere. And then you get Okada hitting the Rainmaker for the win. I think it was fun. It was fun. It was not like a match of the year trios match like the Elite have had before when they had Kenny Omega in the ranks. But I think positioning this Elite and having them be these goofy EVPs, I'm loving it. I think it's really, really fun. I just kind of wish they weren't going up against the Acclaimed. I think surely could have been more interesting. People put them up than the Acclaimed. But yeah, overall this was fun. Billy Gunn came down after to stop a beat down on Tanahashi. We'll see where this leads for Blood and Guts. Then we got one of the matches of the night, which was Bryan Danielson taking on Shingo Takagi in the Owen Hart tournament. This was awesome. This was so, so good. Bryan Danielson is a psychopath. The way he takes these bumps on his neck and sells them for the majority of the matches, I hate it. I really, really hate it because I genuinely think he's hurt. And that happened in this one. It happened from a really cool looking... Danielson goes for a suicide dive. Takagi catches him, puts him on the apron in sort of a hangman's position, or like a suplex position, and then twists and does a rolling net breaker on the floor. It looked nasty, and the officials came over to check on Danielson. He is so good at working us and working the crowd. It's insane, and that only played into the match because Takagi went hell for leather on Danielson, laying in chops, laying in strikes, laying in power moves. Danielson got battered in this match, absolutely battered. But then you had a great near fall spot when Takagi hits his finish. It's not Like a Dragon. Like a Dragon is the game. I can't remember what it's called. His move. I'll put it above my face. Something the dragon. Hits that move. Gets a really close near fall. And then you have like some really cool spots following this. Made in Japan. That's what it's called. My bad. And then a sliding elbow. He goes for a sliding elbow on Bryan Danielson. Danielson catches him in the armbar, hits a Psycho knee as well, and locks in another absurd submission to get a tap-out win in what was a brutal, hard-hitting match. I thought this was really, really fun, really entertaining, and continues to set the tone of what to expect from the Owen Hart Cup. I thought this was really, really good. It's not match of the year contender, which maybe we were thinking, but I still think it was exceptional. Then we got Loki, one of my favourite matches on the show for the AEW Women's Championship. It was Toni Storm taking on Mina Shirakawa in what was a really, really fun match. I think Mina is so, so good. She's been so good on the mic, so good in ring. And Toni Storm here was a different Toni Storm. She wasn't as overtly goofy as she's been in previous matches, like I felt she was in the Serena Deeb match. She was still playing that character, but there was a more serious side to it that we saw. And I think telling the story of Mariah May sitting on the outside and sort of being conflicted at the opening of the match, she gives both competitors flowers. I thought that was really nice, really interesting. And then you just had some like really cool moves worked into the match, like a huge dive from Mina to the floor. That was pretty nasty. And then a DDT from the top rope. So she jumps. No, she has Toni in a DDT position on the top rope and hits a DDT to the ring, which is nasty. Then hits another DDT for a great near fall. And then you had running hip attack from Toni, a glamorous driver from Mina for a great near fall. And then the sort of finishing sequence of this match, there was no Mariah May interference. This was a clean win for Toni Storm. She hits a headbutt, which Mina no-sells. She hits another headbutt that Mina no-sells, and then drops Mina with a Storm driver for the 1-2-3, picking up the win. My only gripe with this match is I wish it had had about 5 more minutes. I feel like they were just getting into that sort of final stretch where they could have hit a finisher again, have a really near kick out, and just really get the crowd fired up. But overall, I thought this was a fantastic match. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story that they told. I've really enjoyed the Toni Storm story. While not on board with the character 100%, I think this story with Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa has been probably the best story she's had since turning into Timeless Tony Storm, going with that gimmick. But yeah, I think it was really great. The three of them kiss in the ring, they hug it out. It was a real feel-good moment. It was really, really exceptional, and I think it was a great story that's been told. Next up, we got Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr. Now, this match I thought was really good. I liked the furthering of Orange Cassidy's character in this. He's turning a bit darker. There's a bit where he drives the knuckles into the legs of Zack Sabre Jr. when it looks like he's going to put his hands in his pockets. A bit more of a sadistic, sort of pent-up rage version of Orange Cassidy. But overall, I didn't enjoy this match as much as I thought I would. I was really expecting to love this match because obviously Orange Cassidy had the amazing match at Forbidden Door with Will Ospreay. I was expecting to feel the same about this, but this just didn't hit me where I wanted it to, unfortunately. So there were some cool spots, such as, like I said, the digging in the knuckles, the sort of trying to match Zack Sabre Jr.'s submission skills is what Cassidy was doing in this, and sort of nailing the leg of Zack Sabre Jr. with these awful, terrible looking dragon screw leg whips. He hits one in the ring, one as Zack's getting into the ring, one on the outside as well. It looks really, really nasty. And then it's one of my favourite sells I think I've ever seen is a sell that Zack Sabre Jr. does of the DDT. He jumps, he gets hit with a diving DDT, so not like Mina Shirakawa did. Cassidy jumps from the top rope and hits DDT on Zack Sabre Jr. while he's in the ring, and Zack Sabre Jr. spikes himself, and it is insane to watch. That was really, really good. And then you did get into a really entertaining sequence at the end where they're matching pinfalls, they're rolling each other up, trying to stretch each other out, and eventually it's just Zack Sabre Jr. gets every single limb of Orange Cassidy, stretches them out, and he has to tap. He has to give up. And I think that was the right choice to be made. I think Zack Sabre Jr. should have won this match. I think this furthers whatever's going on with Orange Cassidy and the darker turn that he is making. We'll see where it goes. I think this match was really, really good, but it didn't hit me right in the soul like I wanted it to. Then we got the Learning Tree and Jeff Cobb versus Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata. Now, I have said my piece on the Learning Tree and Chris Jericho. He was getting please retire chants at the start of this. Addressing the please retire chants does not make people go, oh, that's clever. It's just it is just go away heat with me now. As soon as this match started, I was like, oh, I've got to sit through this. And the match itself wasn't bad. It was okay. Like, there were some really cool spots, particularly the finish. I thought the finish was really, really good to this match. But just, this had nothing. This had nothing that I really enjoyed. And I think the issue with this match is there are so many other matches that I wanted to see rather than this, which I've actually listed off for you. So I'll run these down for you. So obviously Suzuki versus Jericho, which was teased on Dynamite, but for some reason wasn't on the card. Instead, we got this match instead. Joe versus Cobb for the New Japan Television Championship. I think that would have been a really good match. You could have had Joe Hook and Shibata versus United Empire if Jeff Cobb's there. Maybe bring over Great O'Khan and Henare and have that, or Callum Newman and have a United Empire clash. You could have had Joe Hook and Shibata versus the Bullet Club War Dogs because they've sort of got a thing going. Gabe Kidd's with the Undisputed Kingdom, so he could have come in and done that. Joe Hook and Shibata versus the Bang Bang Gang for the trios titles. Like, there's so many other matches I want to see rather than a match with the Learning Tree, because the Learning Tree just grates on me and I really, really hate it. Unfortunately, this match overall didn't give me much that I wanted. It gave me teases of Jeff Cobb versus Samoa Joe, which is what I wanted, but that's not overall what we got. I really like the finish. I really like Hook hitting the Judas effect from sort of out of nowhere on Jericho, pinning Jericho. Right decision. I think this new team should go over, but this to me just means that we're going to get Hook versus Jericho again for the FTW Championship, and I do not care. So this to me was a bit of a dud, and yeah, wouldn't recommend it. Then we had a shot of adrenaline with the TNT Championship ladder match as Konosuke Takeshita took on Mark Briscoe, took on Jack Perry, took on Dante Martin, took on ELP, took on Mark Briscoe, took on Leo Rush. It took me a lot of times to get that right because I could not remember that Dante Martin was in this match. But this was an exceptionally cool and fun and enjoyable ladder match. I really, really enjoyed this. At first, it started off, and I was like, I don't know what it is, but AEW can't seem to master the multi-man ladder match. They can't seem to get it right. I can't think of many great spots and stuff from their ladder matches and stories that have been told. But as this one went on, I was like, this is really fun. This is really fun. Like, everyone ganging up on Jack Perry and then ganging up on Takeshita, and you're left with all the good guys in the ring. Really, really cool. You had insane, like, dives from everyone. Mark Briscoe in particular, setting up a ladder on the apron and then near missing Jack Perry, who was lying on a table on the outside, was gnarly. You had Takeshita hitting a huge blue thunder bomb on ELP through 2 tables. That was awesome. You had Lio Rush just dodging all these different shots from Mark Briscoe while Mark Briscoe's trying to do the whirly bird with the helicopter, and then he just gets a ladder yeeted in his face. It was absolutely mental. And I think some of the other weird, there were some weird spots, like Jack Perry setting up a ladder bridge seemingly for just El Phantasmo to walk over. No one sort of got dropped on it or anything like that. That was a bit strange because Jack Perry just pushed the ladder over after. They had to be fair to the crowd, I'll say this about the crowd, I didn't think it was a particularly good crowd. Some of it was a bit dead, particularly for the IWGP Championship match. But chanting "We want real glass," exceptional. That was an exceptional chant. And then everyone really got behind Takeshita. Everyone really wanted Takeshita to win. He was my choice to win, even though I knew Jack Perry was going to win. This seemed tailor-made for Jack Perry to win. But when Takeshita got took out, I was really, really sad because he gets a J Driller through a ladder, which looked really nasty. And then Perry just brutalizes, absolutely destroys Mark Briscoe with a chair. He hits the chair onto a ladder, which is across Mark Briscoe's face. And it was really, really nasty. Jack Perry climbs up, picks up the win. He is the new TNT champion. The Elite have a lot of gold, seemingly, and potentially, depending on who the wild card is, they may have more. So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed this match overall. I was a bit down on it to begin with, but as it kicked in, I was like, okay, I'm here for this. Really, really good stuff. Next up, we got what might have been my match of the night. It's tied between this and the main event, and that is Stephanie Vaquero, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, versus Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship. I thought this match was so good. Stephanie, I'm going to use her first name because I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her second name correctly, is incredible. This is the first match I've seen of her, and it was insane. Absolutely insane, some of the stuff she pulled off. The lucha libre abilities, the spot that for some reason I think will be remembered forever, but it was a really brutal and violent spot when she sort of traps Mercedes' head in between her knees and just starts drilling it into the canvas. That looked incredibly cool, and I can't believe I've never seen that before, but it looked exceptional. You had some really good back and forth. You had lucha libre stuff being shown from Mercedes as well. She was hitting springboards and arm drags and frog splashes. It was really, really entertaining back and forth contest, and I think she gave Stephanie a lot. Stephanie had a lot of presence in this match. She was really delivering and really showing that she belongs on this grand stage, because I genuinely didn't know a thing about her. Now I'm like, okay, she's one to watch. I'm really excited. She's got a match at a Rev Pro show that I'm going all in weekend. Check out Rev Pro. It's against Danny Luna. That's going to be incredible. So yeah, I thought this was really, really great. And then you had the final finishing sequence where Mercedes is trying to hit the Moneymaker. She gets rolled through. She gets this really cool, she's locked it in like that and then does a forward roll, tries to power up for that, then ends up hitting a hurricane, almost like a tilt-a-whirl hurricane rana, then gets it, then hits it and locks in sort of a version of the bank statement, but they didn't really give it a name here, for the tap out win. And she is the new TBS champion and she's the same TBS champion, she's a new New Japan Strong Women's Champion. She has both the belts, which I think is really, really cool. And then you had the big return of Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. D. If I'd have done predictions, I'm not going to brag myself, but I will brag a little bit. I was literally calling this. I was like, Britt Baker's going to appear at the end of Mercedes Monet's match. We're going to have that stare down, and that is going to be the match for Wembley. Makes all the sense in the world. I can't wait for them to have a promo battle. I think that'll be really interesting. Just give them both microphones, let them both cook, let them both just do their thing. I'm so up for that. I think that is one of the biggest matches they can put on, and on their biggest stage. Makes all the sense in the world. Then we got the announcement of Wrestle Dynasty for the Tokyo Dome the day after Wrestle Kingdom, which is going to be a big crossover show with AEW Stardom, New Japan, CMLL, and I feel like there's another one in there, but I can't remember what it was. It might be those four. I swear there was another one, but I'm blanking. Very, very interesting stuff. And then sadly we got the match that I was really, really down on. This one did not hit for me, and that was for the IWGP Championship. Jon Moxley versus Tetsuya Naito. Look, I'm going to admit this now. It might be a hot take. I don't get Naito. Like, of all the matches that I've seen of Naito, his Sonada match for the IWGP Championship, this match, I've seen a match with Will Ospreay, I'm sure I have. I've seen some Naito matches. They just don't gel with me. I don't know what it is. Something about Naito and the way he wrestles just doesn't fit right with me. And pairing that with Mox in this match, I hate to use this word because it feels like a very strong word when describing a wrestling match, but I thought this was boring. I thought this was really, really boring. A little bit sloppy in places, long, plodding. Like, it just didn't hit for me, really. It was sort of built around the disrespect. Naito kept spitting in the face of Jon Moxley, and Moxley getting equally frustrated, throwing chairs in the ring because he can't put Naito away. And it all builds to this really close near fall at the end when he hits a Death Rider for a 1-2, and then it looks like it's very close. Taz was like, I'm sure he didn't kick out with that, but Naito just kicks out with that. And then you have Moxley losing his temper. He brings a chair in the ring. Red Shoes gets it out of the way, and that sort of gives space for Naito to hit his finish for the 1-2-3. Naito is the new IWGP champion. It was a shame because I thought we might be getting Mox versus Shota Umino at Wrestle Kingdom. That seemed like a way to go. Maybe we still can. Maybe the belt will end up back on Mox at some point. I would have liked to have seen him have a longer reign. Yeah, this didn't hit for me. I thought this was really boring, and I hate saying that. I really hate saying that, considering the two people that are in the ring. And yeah, just didn't deliver for me in the slice. I way preferred the Takeshita match, like from Double or Nothing. I thought that was so much better. And then we had the main event. We had Will Ospreay, international champion Will Ospreay, taking on the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland. This was exceptional. Of course it was. We all knew this was going to be amazing, but I don't think we were quite prepared for how amazing it was going to be, because these two work so well together. They have insane chemistry. They have counters after counters after counters for days, and I really like the story they told in this match, and that is drilling out Will Ospreay's killer instinct, and Swerve already has that killer instinct. Swerve had points where he lost it. He hit a pile driver on Ospreay on the guardrail, which was really, really sick, and sort of followed this brutal tear that he'd been on, and he was just unleashing this stuff, and it was sort of building on Ospreay, building until he can seemingly summon up the courage to do the Tiger Driver. And we got insane sequences. I always love an Oscutter counter, and there were multiple in this. Like, the one to the apron looked really, really gnarly, and then he sort of went for an Oscutter, and Swerve transitioned it into an armbar. That was really, really fun. There was some really great stuff in here, and then the Swerve stomp from the top to Ospreay onto the announce table is one of the coolest spots I've ever seen, because it was perfectly timed. It was picture perfect, and I loved it. And then, yeah, it all sort of built up to Ospreay sort of making his comeback after a sick hidden blade, by the way, from Swerve. Swerve hit a sick hidden blade. Ospreay goes to hit the Tiger Driver. Swerve counters it, And then you get Don Callis coming down. You have Don Callis who offering Will Ospreay the screwdriver to use the screwdriver to put away Swerve the same way he did. I think he did screwdriver to Kenny Omega. I think he did. And then he gets in the face of Prince Nana. Prince Nana, who's on the outside. After pushing Callis, he gets this mega reaction for doing it. He gets in the face. He's going to do it. He throws it away. That gives Swerve the opportunity to hit the house call for a near fall. House call again, near fall. You got Swerve. He knows he's got it won, basically. He knows at this point. You can sort of see him, the look in his face, the way he's pacing around the ring. He's like, he's just not staying down. I've won this match, but I cannot keep him down. And that leads to a sick house call and a really, really good JML driver for the 1, 2, 3. Swerve Strickland retains. I think that was the right decision. I think it was an insanely cool match. The only thing I think would have made this more perfect is if Swerve hit the house call, then hit the Tiger Driver for the 1, 2, 3. That would have been picture perfect. Like one of the best finishes in recent memory. It's still one of the best finishes in recent memory, but I just think that would have made it soar a tiny little bit higher. I think Swerve's a star. Ospreay's a star. This was a fantastic main event, a fantastic way to close off the show. On what I feel was a little bit of an uneven evening / morning, depending on when you watched it. But overall, I think the positives do outweigh the negatives. There are a few matches that I think were sort of duds in my opinion. But the more I enjoyed other matches, outshines them. And overall, I'd probably give it 3.75 out of 5. Like, not the best show of the year by any stretch, but I think really, really solid and an incredible main event that I can't wait to see. I can't wait to watch Dynamite. I think that's the best thing to say coming out of this. I can't wait to watch Dynamite on Wednesday / Thursday morning. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Did you enjoy Forbidden Door? Did you not? Let me know and I'll try and reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support and have a nice day.